So, Goten and Trunks are superheroes now. Well, I mean, I guess those Saiyaman stands out there are going to be happy. Hey folks, MasakoX here. Now for this month, this review is going to have to be a little bit more slapdash than usual, since I've got to quickly go and deal with a family emergency. But I do have a little bit of time to provide my more rambly thoughts on the overall Dragonball Super manga chapter that just dropped. And Japan seems to have basically released it much earlier than they usually do, because it's usually a simultaneous release. Things are going to be a little bit different this time around, but normal service will resume next month. This month heralds the return of the manga, and the start of a brand new arc which focuses mostly on the Dragonball Super Super Hero story from the recent movie, but will instead elaborate on the stuff more so that led up to the events of said feature. Provide a little bit more backstory and context, most notably showcasing Goten and Trunks, them actually doing stuff and them being teenagers now. I would provide you with the blow-by-blow account of events, but you probably already know what happens already, so this time around I'm gonna give you my overall thoughts on what you saw, and I also recommend that you should read the translated manga itself when it comes out on Viz's website or on the Shonen Jump app. I'm not sponsored by either of them, but that's just how I usually consume said content. Anyway, let's go. So, Chapter 88, The Birth of the Superheroes. Well, I mean, it's not really the birth of them as heroes when you actually look at it, as they seem to be a little bit established somewhat already. Or at least what we see is not their first rodeo. First off, the little snippet of content with Goku and Vegeta that we see at the beginning, and is coloured, tells us all we need to know for this arc. They are on Beerus's planet training to stop Black Frieza. And from what we know from the movie, Broly, Chila and Lemma are going to be there too, with the first one, Broly, training in order to defend himself or help the Saiyans stop Frieza altogether. At least now we know why he's there. In any case, it helps tie in the idea that the anime and manga narratives are more closely connected than we had previously thought. Or I could be completely wrong. They could just be following similar beats, and that's it. They can go ultimately off in different directions. But will we see more of this little snippet? Well, probably. But the Goku Vegeta stuff, it's clearly going to be the subplot of this particular arc. I actually prefer this because Toyotaro is telling you immediately and in detail that, yeah, they're going to be around and doing stuff, but Goku and Vegeta, yeah, they're taking the back seat this time around. Yeah, they're going to be doing stuff to prevent Black Frieza from actually causing any more tyranny and carnage, but what more do you need to know? You already know what's going to happen from the movie. Toyotaro wants you to get to the story proper, which is about Goten and Trunks, and them being basically Saiyaman X1 and 2. Somebody needs to mock up a game cover of Saiyaman X in the style of Mega Man X. It's just, that's what my mind went to, honestly. And despite this being a very slice of life story which is presented to you, the chapter was very interesting, and it managed to use Goten and Trunks well. Also, and this is something that I've noticed, their moods are slowly starting to switch to what their end of Z personas are like. You couldn't really tell this was going on in the superhero movie because you barely saw Trunks and Goten before they then fused into Gotenks. But this is something I've noticed in the chapter proper. When they were younger, Trunks was the brash, confident jock and Goten was the simpering lackey. It's one of his faults, Goten, that he really doesn't have much of a backbone, but now they actually seem a little bit more even. Trunks is also much more dorky and geeky than we previously thought, and sort of leans into the idea of the end of Z Trunks, where he's actually a little bit more subdued and nicer and a little bit more sensitive. Whereas Goten, actually in this chapter, is a lot more confident, peppy, and relaxed than we previously would have expected. Remember when Goku and Goten were fighting together? Goten seemed quite chill, and a bit more assertive. That's what I like to see. We are seeing the beginning of that personality shift. I really like this. It's natural to what we'll see once they reach maturity at the 26th tournament. Now, okay, this is something I saw in the original promotion photograph, and am I happy to see Mai and the Pilaf gang in this story? You bet I am. Future Mai was one of the things that held the Goku Black arc together. As time has progressed, the Pilaf gang have naturally grown up after they made that little snafu of a wish back in the Resurrection F arc or prior. And the Pilaf gang are now actively helping Bulma with Capsule Corp's daily business with the helper robots, and Trunks is, okay, with their results, he's very much a teenager here in that he's completely smitten with Mai, but then again, we all saw this happening. But what I like here is that she's not acting all lovey-dovey. It's sort of one-sided, but she kind of likes him, but not that much to drop tools. She's got a job to get on with, and she is focused on it instead of just wishing to be a typical adolescent. Now, Is this her more mature brain distinguishing her difference between her and Trunks? Because remember, the character of Mai herself has been around for maybe nearly 60 years now. She is a lot older than she looks because of the wish. Or maybe she's just more motivated to work, because remember, in the future, that Mai there was more driven to helping out others and being a bit more focused on the bigger picture instead of her own personal feelings. So maybe we're just seeing that here, what we saw in the Goku Black arc. But what this all highlights here is that Trunks is a complete goof and acts like a typical American-style high school student. Like, hey, do you want to go out on a date or something? Gee golly, Mai, I really like you. And now finally, the Pilaf gang are now genuinely being used in an organic and practical way instead of just being there for comedic and nostalgic purposes. Like, hey, do you remember the Pilaf gang? Well, they're here because they were the first baddies. Now they're actually being used for good reason. Pilaf is canonically intelligent, remember? He made a dragon radar as well as Bulma. It was just a little less elegant and it required a whole room to fit it in. Together, they actually work very well and it fits because they're helping each other out. Great. They're clearly good guys now. There's no going back here. As for the chapter itself, it elaborates on Dr. Hedo's original idea of making zombie helpers, which got him put in jail in the original movie. Now here, we're starting to see more explanations as to why he did that. In the movie, it felt like, oh, okay, you're just making androids with what you can, okay, but now here we're starting to understand the motive. The reason why he made them was because he needs to run a business to fund his research so he can make more cool stuff. These creations are there to help him instead of doing anything bad, but naturally it goes running amok. But they kind of go to a very bold length though to go about their business, which brings Capture Corp and Trunks into play. He makes it for good intentions, but then they run amok, as we see in the actual movie with Cell Max. But overall to me, this plot feels like a mix between Spider-Man and Scooby Doo. I'm talking about the Spider-Man animated series. In that there's this mysterious scary entity with big superpowers scaring the population, and it's up to our meddling kids to stop them. Not just Goten and Trunks, but their classmates too. So it's actually a team effort. And here, Dr. Hedo being reinvented into a pantomime villain is so good. It fits. We know him to actually not be evil, but we certainly know he is selfish and completely blind to normal social skills and etiquette. He is smart, he wants money to invent stuff, he'll do what is necessary to get what he wants. He's basically Dexter from Dexter's Lab. At last, my greatest work completed! Also, what's on the Dr. Gero disc? This is clearly the big MacGuffin of this first act of the arc. Is it some kind of audio recording from the Doctor? Or does it contain the original blueprints to make androids? What does it mean to Hedo? Because he's clearly nettled it not being there. In fact, if it is an audio recording, then I did a certain little thing that you can look over here about what Gero got up to before he made the androids. But yeah, this chapter feels very similar to the Great Saiyaman introduction from the Buu saga, in that it really does capture the feeling of a more comedic Dragon Ball. It's also a very long chapter. It's over 50 pages, 55 actually, which means that Toyotaro is very much wanting to provide lots of detail and establish Goten and Trunks fully as the main characters for this arc, be it long or short. Who knows? This arc may only be 4 chapters long. Who knows? But okay, I gotta point this out here because this is a trend. Ruler. It's amazing to see that in this arc we are seeing more black characters who are drawn naturally and they're just there, being characters. They're not being put on a pedestal or anything like that. They're just there, being people. We had Janet, I know that's not her name, but we're going to call her Janet for the sake of simplicity. This is fantastic. More diversity. Her name, Ruler, and the other one, Compass, it continues the trend that Sharpener and Erasa started in the Buu saga, in that students that feature in Dragon Ball like high schools are named after school place objects like pencil cases, compasses, rulers, etc., sharpeners. They have different body types. They all don't look the same. They actually stand out. I don't remember seeing a character like Compass before. Do I like what they're doing with the plot so far to flesh out Superhero? Yeah. It feels a little less heavy and something of a change of pace from what we've previously had. In the last arc, we had it away from Earth and it was very dense, talking about granola. But now we can actually expand upon something with the other characters. They can take charge of the plot, letting Goku and Vegeta relax for a while, doing what they do, which is training. Because remember, when they train, other characters are doing things too. And one of the biggest criticisms we had with Dragon Ball was that they over-rely on Goku and Vegeta, not giving other characters the time of day. With this arc, they can do that. To top that all off, the original movie proved that Gohan and Piccolo could carry the plot. Now Goten and Trunks are helping them to do the same. Dr. Hedo also was well received, and this could lead to some more backstory with the Red Ribbon Army. Now you have time to flesh it out in the manga. You can find out more about Dr. Gero himself, and even the likes of Android 21, or Vomi, which was her original Human Template's name. I still can't believe that name, but it does make sense canonically. Do I recommend this arc and that you should actually read it? Well, I mean, if you like the movie it's based on, definitely. So yeah, you can tell I'm sort of jabbering on about it, but I am actually very excited to see more of this. It's really refreshing and shows that Toyotaro is actually standing by what he said before and why he had this break. It meant that he could flesh things out, he didn't feel rushed, and he meant what he said, is that he is going to level up his art and come up with something better. He's apologised for being a little bit derivative. He's apologised for maybe not being as inspired as he would like to be. Now he's going full on. He's taking everything that he's learned and making it truly his own. And I'm really excited to see that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and I shall see you for the next part next month. Catch you later.